What is going on, guys? It's Amit, you're watching Dev Dreamer, and welcome to lesson 22 in JavaScript. In this lesson, we're going to learn all about if-else statements. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe down below and choose all notifications by clicking the bell so you never miss an update. Okay, so welcome back to lesson 22. In this lesson then, let's start learning all about the first conditional statement, which is the if-else statement. Now this actually has several variants, which of course we're going to be covering in this lesson. Let's start with the most simplest form, which is called an if statement. The if statement has the following structure: if, and then parentheses, then we say space, curly braces, and the way that this works is, inside this parentheses here we have the condition, and then inside the curly braces will be code to be run if our condition is true. So let's fix this. So in the condition then, I'm just going to put a boolean value of true. And then in the curly braces, I'm going to say console.log, the condition is true. So let's save this and let's see what we get. Okay, so the console says the condition is true. And that's because what's happened here is we test the condition, which in this case is just true. And since it's true, this code here runs. If we change this to false and save, now you can see the console doesn't run anything. So once again, since the condition is false, this code will not run. If it's true, as we just saw, then the code will run. Now, most of the time, you're not really going to be putting in true or false in here. You're actually going to be testing some sort of condition. So in here, we could say something like, okay, if 1 is less than 10, then console log, the condition is true. Let's save. And of course, in the console, it says the condition is true because it's true. 1 is less than 10. If we said, is 10 less than 1, then once again, nothing happens. This is false because our condition here is 10 less than 1 is false. Our condition can also be made up of variables. So up here, let's say, let game be assigned the value of Sonic. And then in our condition here, we're going to say if game is equal to Sonic, then log the condition is true. So let's save. And of course in the console we get the condition is true because game does equal Sonic. So as you can see then, the code inside the curly braces is only executed if the condition inside the parentheses is true. If it's false, then the code isn't executed and nothing happens. Now sometimes we may want to additionally execute some code when the condition is false. And we can do this with an if-else statement. So this is an if statement. Now we're going to look at an if-else statement. So the way that this works is it has the exact same structure and syntax. The only difference is at the end of this curly brace here, we say space, else, and then we do another set of curly braces. And then inside here, this is going to be the code to run if the condition is false. So in here, let's just copy this. And here, this time we're going to say the condition is false. So let's go ahead and change this now. So let's change this to Mario instead. Let's save. And now it says the condition is false because it's no longer true that game is equal to Sonic. So with an if-else statement, we can specify an optional else block, which is this right here, okay, where we can actually do something even if the condition is false. Now there may also be times where we want to test several variants of a condition, and we can do this with an else if statement. So it might start to get a bit confusing, but let's just understand how it works. So this here, just get rid of this. So this is an if statement. So if the condition is true, then log this. If it's false, do nothing. This is an if-else statement. So if this condition is true, then log this as normal. However, if it's not, then log this. So if else provides us with some space to execute some code if the condition is false. Finally, we have else if. So let's see how this works. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and just get rid of all this. And I'm going to say let roll be assigned the value of 2. Then let's say if, parentheses, and the condition we're going to test here is if roll is equal to 4, then do the following. Console.log and say you rolled a 4. Now, using else if, we can go ahead and test several variants of a condition. So here I'm going to say else space if, and now you continue as you were writing just a normal if statement again. So if, and curly braces. Now in here we're going to test a second condition. So now let's say roll equals 5. And once again, let's go ahead and just log this and change this to 5. And then once again, I'm going to say else if. So we're going to run another test here. And this time we're going to check to see if roll is equal to 6. And we do the same thing. So console.log, this time you rolled a 6. And then finally, we're going to say else. So in other words, if all these conditions are false, then run this. So we can say console.log, let's say you rolled less than 4. If we didn't roll a 4, 5 or a 6, then obviously we rolled a 3, 2 or a 1. So we've got you rolled less than 4. So this then is an example of an else if statement. Let's save and let's see what we get in the console. Okay, of course we'll get you rolled less than 4. So we start here, it tests this condition. If it's true, it runs this, but it's not true, so then it goes to the next one. Else if roll is equal to 5, that's not true. Else if roll is equal to 6, that's not true. Finally, we say if all these are not true, then go ahead and do this. And with that, guys, we've learned all about the if-else statements and the different variants. So we have if statements, if-else statements, and else-if statements. So let's go ahead and summarize this lesson. So first of all then, as you can see, if statements are very powerful because they enable us to control the flow of our code and conditionally render code based upon the outcome of a condition. We can also add an optional else block, okay, with an if-else statement that will run some code if the condition returns false, as opposed to just doing nothing with a basic if statement. And finally, we can even test several variants of a condition, okay, like we've done here, by using an else if statement, which will check multiple conditions to see if they're true. So let's take a look at your tasks for this lesson. Okay, so we've got 3 tasks for this lesson. For task number 1, what will the following code display in the console? So here then we've got let num be assigned the value of 10 plus 2. Then we say if num is more than 2 and num is less than 20, then console log true, else console log false. So what would the result in the console be? For task number 2, we're saying create a variable called user and set its value to employee. Then I want you to create an else if statement to first check if user is equal to guest. If this is true, then console log login denied. And then I want you to check if user is equal to employee and console log successfully logged in. And finally for task number 3, assign your first name to a variable called myname and then create an if statement to see if the number of letters in your name is more than 5. If it is, alert more than 5. Next, check to see if it is exactly 5 letters. If it is, alert exactly 5 letters. And then finally, if neither of these is true, then alert less than 5 letters. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, try these out, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the answers. Okay, so how'd you get on then? Let's see. So for task 1 then, what will the following code display in the console? Well, if num is equal to 12, then let's check this first. Is 12 more than 2? Yep, that's true. And is 12 less than 20? That's also true. Remember, since we're using a logical operator here, both of these conditions need to be true. Since they are, the console will log true. For task number 2, we need to create a variable called user. So we're going to say let user be assigned the value of employee. And the first check we need to do is to see if user is equal to guest. So down here, we're going to say if user is equal to guest, then console log login denied. So here we can say login denied. Then check if user is equal to employee and console log successfully logged in. So what we're looking for here is else if. We're testing a condition multiple times. So now we're going to say is user equal to employee and then console log successfully logged in. And of course here, the console is going to output successfully logged in because user is equal to employee. So let's save and we get successfully logged in. Finally, for task number 3, we need to assign our first name to a variable called myname. So I'm going to say let myname be assigned the value of Amit, and then we need to check if the number of letters in my name is more than 5. And here we can use the string property length to check the number of letters. So I'm going to create a new variable. So I'm going to say let name length be assigned the value of myname.length. So if we just console log this, the console returns 4 because there's 4 letters in my name. But what we need to do is we need to say if name length, which we know now is 4, is more than 5, then here we need to alert more than 5 letters. And again here we need to use an else if statement because we're doing multiple checks on this condition. So now we're going to say else if name length is equal to 5, then we need to alert exactly 5 letters. And finally, if none of these is true, so now we're just going to say else, then we need to alert less than 5 letters. So of course here then, we're going to get an alert that says less than 5 letters because this condition is false this condition is false, and so finally it's going to alert this. So let's save. Okay, and as expected then, we get less than 5 letters. So guys, well done on completing those tasks. I know they were probably slightly harder than normal, but that's a good thing because it really forces us to start drawing upon the things that we've learned in previous lessons. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to be learning all about the switch statement, which is a much cleaner and easier way to test multiple conditions. So be sure to tune in. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you on the next one.